Hey guys, and welcome to this first part of a 5-part breakdown of the sun salutations. Make sure to follow me on Instagram to receive the rest of the parts. Enjoy the class. So now we're going to start looking at the main positions in a sun salutation. Okay, so if we come to samastitihi, which means equal standing, and in some traditions called tadasana, which means the mountain pose. So you want to try to embody those things, equal standing and the mountain. Okay, so we start with the feet. So now you know how to isolate your toes, how to find the tripod of the feet, so the center of the heels, the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe. I'm going to come forward so you can see me better. You're going to spread your toes and then place them down one at a time. Okay, so depending on your anatomy, what is the correct position? Is it heels apart? Is it heels together? Okay. If you can keep the big toes touching and the heels touching, fine. But a lot of people can't do this because of the shape of the anatomy, so you may need to stand a little bit with the heels apart. Okay. That you have to find out for yourself. And right now I want to explore samastitihi in a way that I've never seen anyone actually explore it before. Okay, so if we bring our awareness to the pelvis, okay, so the pelvis, as you know, you can imagine like a bowl which we can tip forward into anterior pelvic tilt, we can bring neutral, or it can go into posterior pelvic tilt. Okay, but we also have the positioning of the center of mass over our feet. So we can shift our weight forward into the toes. We can be over the center of the feet. We can also shift our weight back into the heels. Okay? And we also have the rib cage. The rib cage can be centered over the pelvis, or the rib cage could be forward, or it could be back like this. And then the head, where is it in relation to the rest of the body? Okay, so the head might be forward, might be over the top, or could be back. These are the main body weight centers. Okay, your head, your rib cage, and your pelvis. In an ideal world, if there was such a thing, as an ideal samastitihi, the head, the ribs, and the pelvis would be stacked over each other. The pelvis in neutral, rib cage in neutral, head more or less in a neutral position. Okay, but that's not the reality for a lot of us. So let's first begin by exploring our own bodies and how we stand habitually. Okay, so let's explore. Let's go into an anterior pelvic tilt. And then shift your weight forward into your toes. Notice how that feels. Bring your weight over the midfoot and then bring your weight back into your heels. Okay? Or let's tuck the tailbone under into posterior pelvic tilt with the weight still in the heels. Notice how that feels. Lock your knees. Push your hips forward. Okay, so your weight is now in your toes with a posterior pelvic tilt, knees locked. And notice how that feels. Okay, and then let's come back with the weight over the midfoot, the pelvis in neutral. Let's think about the chest. So do we stand with the chest, a proud chest like this? Or do we tend to collapse and hide with the chest like this? Okay? let's bring the chest into that neutral position. And then the head. Let's slide the head forward. And then let's slide the head back. And then come to a neutral position. And in this neutral position, let's imagine that there's a thread pulling the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. So you're feeling that length as you go up. At the same time, you're dropping your weight down through the fingertips, down through your feet, so you're feeling grounded. Your balance front to back, so it's a sama stitihi, equal standing. Your weight is right over the midfoot, so you're steady, strong, like the mountain. Okay, so from there, our first vinyasa, ekam, inhale. There are different ways to do this. You can start with external rotation and take the arms up on this kind of a 45-degree angle, known as the shoulder plane, the scapular plane. Okay, so for a lot of people, this will be the most comfortable way to do it. You could also take your arms out to the side like this, or you could take the arms forward like this. Okay, so you can explore. If you turn the arms in to internal rotation and try to take them up, most people will find that this movement sort of gets blocked at a certain point. The externally rotated position for most people is easier and creates more freedom of movement. Okay, so you can explore either arms to the side, 45, or forward. Okay, and then the main thing is now we come to ekam, hands up, and we want to try to bring the arms to this, what we call 180 degrees of shoulder flexion. So the arms in line with the ears. And if you remember from our articular rotations, if you had some kind of limitation in shoulder flexion, then you may, and you see this a lot in the yoga class, so as student takes the arms up, they reach a block. So in order to get their hands to the ceiling, a couple of things can happen. One is to move the hips forward, and then that brings the hands up to the ceiling. The other thing that may happen is the pelvis starts to go into anterior tilt, or the ribs start to what we call flare, like this. So start to reach the block, ribs flare, like this. And then the rest of the movement looks like it's coming from the shoulders, but actually it's either coming from the spine or from the hips shifting forward. Okay, now there's nothing wrong with those things. That's totally natural. And some people may even choose, as they go into it like this, to create some arch in the back. So it becomes almost like a back bend, like this. Or for example, like if you get up in the morning, or if you just got off a plane after a long flight, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to stretch, right? You're going to stretch. And how are you going to stretch? You're going to probably go like this. Something like this. Okay, so you're probably going to arch your back because that's what feels good. You're probably not going to stretch and think, okay, I need to keep my ribs in, need to keep my pelvis in posterior, neutral. You're not going to think all those things. You're just going to let the body do what feels natural. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with doing these things. You may even want to stretch your hip flexors by taking the hips forward like this. Okay, so my teaching is all about understanding why and how, and opening up movement possibilities, okay? So that's your ekam. In Ashtanga, we usually look at the thumbs, okay? So that's going to require a couple of things. So if your hands are right next to your ears like this, and then you bring your hands together and try to look to your thumbs like this, you may feel tension in your neck. May not be a problem for you if you have all the prerequisites, so that's fine. But you may need to take your head back a little bit like this. So your head goes behind your arms. And if that's the case, then you want to make sure that you're not collapsing the back of your neck. So you want to stretch your throat without collapsing the back of the neck. One thing I like to think of is not letting the ears go past the shoulders like this. So as you stretch forward, the ears more or less staying over the shoulders. Even if I take the arms up like this, I'm not dumping the neck or head back like this. And again, you can do this, nothing wrong with it if you don't feel any pain. Okay? So that's our Ekam position. And then from there, you bend forward. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the class. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and YouTube to receive the rest of the parts. And if you want to go deeper into your practice, then check the link in the description for my online membership, Ashtanga Decoded. Hope to see you there.